Hello, my dear friends. You are listening to Time to Om, and welcome to my channel. When I was a child, I thought the Bible was a book of love. That's what everyone around me said. Yet, when I opened its pages, what I heard was not only love, it was also damnation, judgment, and fear. I remember being called on to read out loud at Bible study. My voice shook as I sounded out the words. When I finished, the question came, "Now, what does that mean? How does it apply to your life?" My throat tightened. I could never answer. Not because I didn't care, not because I was stupid, though that's what others assumed, but it was simply because I was torn. Torn between the Jesus who spoke of love, mercy, and forgiveness, and the other voices in the Bible that spoke of silence, submission, punishment, and wrath. To answer honestly would have meant confessing my fear, my doubt, my questions, but in that world, doubt was treated as shame and weakness. So I chose silence, and in that silence, I was judged and laughed at with the whispers among themselves. She doesn't understand. She's so stupid. While the truth is, I understood too well. I could feel the contradiction of the scriptures I've read in my bones. This series is for the child I once was, and for anyone torn between love and fear. It is not written to convert, condemn, or argue, but to explore. To ask, where did this book called the Bible come from? How has it healed and harmed? And why does it still echo today? There's a sense of something ancient, something profound that lingers just beyond the edge of our perception. This is the echo of a dream, a whisper carried on the winds of history. These whispers are not always loud. Before Constantine, before Paul, before the councils and creeds, there were stories whispered around fires, sung in laments, etched into memory long before ink touched parchment. The Bible is not just one book, but a library, a chorus of voices collected over several thousand years, and the oldest voices are not always the first ones you see when you open its pages. This is the echo of a dream, a whisper carried on the winds of history. These whispers are not always loud. Sometimes they are fragments of the oldest songs, like the Book of Job, with his anguished cries about suffering, may be preserved as one of the oldest traditions, stretching back to 1500 BCE. The Song of Miriam in Exodus 15 is written in ancient Hebrew. Many believe it is the oldest poem in the Bible, around 1200 BCE. Then the prophets Amos, Hosea, Micah, who have protested against kings and priests demanding justice for the poor. They said, "Let justice roll down like waters." Amos 5:24. Yet, when we open today's Bible, we don't start with Job, Miriam, or Amos. We start with Genesis, along with Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. What later came to be called the Torah took written form much later, around 600 to 400 BCE, shaped in the crucible of exile in Babylon. Here's where things get even more interesting. These stories, from Genesis to Exodus, weren't written by a single author with one clear vision. They were conjoined together from different traditions, meaning different kingdoms, temples, priests, and storytellers, each with their own way of talking about God. You can even see it in the names they used: Yahweh, Elohim, El Shaddai. These aren't just poetic variations, they reveal the fingerprints of different communities, different storytellers, and different experiences of the divine. So, were the Israelites always monotheists? No. Early Israel lived in a polytheistic world. Abraham's ancestors worshipped other gods. Israel served the Baals and the Ashtoreths. Archaeology even uncovered inscriptions of Yahweh and his Asherah. So, what happened to the other gods? They weren't killed. They were absorbed, erased, rebranded. Yahweh took El's titles, Most High and Creator. Asherah disappeared from the official story, though people still worshipped her at home. Baal became the false rival cast down by Yahweh. Over time, Yahweh absorbed all divine roles until he stood alone. Wrestling questions. Here, where the echoes grow louder for me and the questions asked begin to take shape. 1. What really happened to this team of gods? They were not destroyed, but their roles and powers were absorbed into Yahweh, who took over their titles and functions. 2. Was this a culture war or a political move? Both. Prophets fought for purity of worship, while kings centralized religion into one temple. Later, Constantine and Rome would magnify this principle: one God, one faith, one empire. 3. Why the decision to reduce many gods to one? A. Trauma from being exiled. B. Questioning their identity as a people, which psychologically is part of survival mode. C. Vision, where prophets began to declare Yahweh not just Israel's, but the world's God. 4. How are these gods related? Were they divine beings, archetypes, or aliens? The Canaanites, they believed they were a divine family: El, his wife Asherah, and their children Baal, Astarte, and the others. From a modern perspective, they could be seen as archetypes of nature, spiritual presence, or perhaps even misunderstood as super beings. A possibility entertained in alternative theories like Zecharia Sitchin's book, The Earth Chronicles. 5. What were their true intentions? At first, they explained the mysteries of life: fertility, storm, war, death. Over time, priests and rulers used gods to control people. The Bible itself wrestles with this tension. Sometimes God is love and justice. Micah 6, verse 8, King James Version. He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God? Then you read that he is jealous and wrathful. Exodus 34, verse 14, King James Version. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Was the divine about liberation or about control? The answer has never been simple. These aren't just theological riddles lost in time. They're human questions, timeless ones. These echoes aren't just questions from biblical or ancient history. They're the same questions we ask in our own lives today. Who are we? Where did we come from? The answers are woven into the tapestry of all who came before. Our languages, our laws, our art, even our deepest assumptions about the world, none of these were born in a vacuum. They are inheritances, gifts from the past that we carry into the present. But there is a third vital question that arises from this journey. Where are we going? To look back is not to be trapped in the past. It is to gain the perspective needed to navigate the future. History is a vast library of human behavior, a catalog of our greatest triumphs and our most catastrophic failures. It shows us the recurring patterns of power, the consequences of greed and hatred, but also the enduring power of compassion, creativity, and hope. The whispers of yesterday are not just echoes. They are lessons. They are warnings. They are inspirations. They are the foundation upon which we must build tomorrow. And as we stand here at our own point in the great river of time, we listen, we learn, And we add our own voices to the chorus, hoping that someday in a future we cannot imagine, we too will be heard as a whisper on the winds of history. The first echo and today's society faith began in plurality, conflict, and struggle. From many voices, the idea of one God emerged. But whether that was divine love or human control, that question still echoes. Religion and politics remain entangled. Leaders still invoke God to unify or divide. And we, like the child I once was, are still torn between love and fear. In the next video, we meet Paul, the man who never walked with Jesus, yet whose words shaped the faith of billions. Namaste.